left him with an opportunity to paper over some of the cracks of what has been a really desperate weekend for the 2020 World Champion.
You know, although he's been in MotoGP a couple of years, hasn't he, Dwayne? They don't have an awful lot of wet weather. This is a journey into the unknown as well for the rookies, the likes of Marco Bezzecchi, Fabio Antonio.
This is what the crowd have been waiting for a good couple of hours now since the Moto 2 race came to a conclusion with spots of rain in the air. They've seen plenty of rainfall since then. The green flag waves and Johan Zarco leads the field out for the exciting lap. They'll do one back to the grid, and then at 50 minutes past the hour, the Indonesian Grand Prix will be underway. Well, Fabio Quartararo starts from pole position. Just how much has his wet weather riding come on since last season? Of course, it was his difficulties in the wet conditions and mixed conditions that saw him start before he was world champion back in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix last year from 15th on the grid. Can he put those problems behind him and give his world championship defence the kickstart that it needs?
This is a massive step into the unknown for these MotoGP riders. They've done barely a handful of wet weather laps. Certainly the track wasn't as wet as this on Saturday morning. So this really is stepping into the unknown territory. Who's going to quickly master the conditions? Who's going to take the big risk? Jack Miller, well, you know that he's so good in the wet conditions. He's proven to be strong on the Ducati and the Honda in the past. Of course, it was mixed conditions, that famous win at the Dutch TT in Assen in 2016. He's got really strong wet weather prowess. That's actually not a bad wet weather rider. Guys with nothing to lose really. Andrea Dovizioso in particular on a factory Ducati, where you can always put your money on him to be a big threat in these rain conditions. You've got to say the way that Fabio Quartararo is throwing that Yamaha around that second sector. There's been a lot of feedback from the World Superbike riders here, and the Moto3 riders who've had a couple of wet sessions. The grip levels here in the rain at this Mandalika circuit are very good. Very good indeed. So you can see the guys are just out there now trying to understand where the patches of water are, where the water's patched at its worst, and then also just work out the grip levels, taking back the iron. So relatively inexperienced in terms of wet weather riding in MotoGP as well.
He might have half a chance in these conditions. He starts in the middle of the third row in 8th place. Pit lane closes in 4 minutes time, which is why you're seeing riders come back down pit lane. They do have to do this. This isn't like the quick restart procedure where you have 60 seconds out there before the pit lane closes again. So understandably, some of the smart cookie quick restart procedure where you have 60 seconds out taking the opportunity to do an extra lap of the track before they pull up on the grid, just to get a little bit more information, just to see where some of the damper patches are, where some of the grip levels are. KTM still answer their chances this afternoon. Brad Binder, last time we saw conditions like this was a race on slicks. Of course, he won't be running them today. Miguel Oliveira also looking good. He starts 7th on the grid. Their team boss Francesco Guidotti is speaking now.
Francesco, we now step into the unknown. I'd love to know how your riders go into this race, how they've been feeling in the box, and we do know in the unknown, Brad often comes outside. So what are your thoughts?
Difficult to have an opinion, difficult to predict something. We never raced here before, and the conditions are completely different than the test and the practice for the weekend. So yeah, let's start and we'll see. But the guys are good. Both of them usually perform well in a wet condition. So yeah, finger crossed and let's go.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks to Francesco Guidotti. A great start set for the KTM team in Doha. Brad Binder, his 3rd podium finish in the Premier class. I wonder if he's going to tempt to go out on slick tyres. Joking. That was a brilliant victory at the Red Bull Ring in the Austrian Grand Prix last year. So finally, we are getting the grid forming here at the PERTAMINA Mandalika circuit in Indonesia. Ducati await their man, Jorge Martin and Johan Zarco, both going from the front row of the grid. Brad Binder, there's going to be some nerve jangling now, because as we mentioned, we can't overemphasise, this is a complete blank canvas, a complete journey in the unknown for these guys. They've never raced before here in Mandalika. They've certainly got very little experience of wet weather conditions. In some respects it might be a bit of a lottery, but it's certainly going to provide some nail-biting entertainment We hope you have stuck with us over the last hour and a half or so when our coverage for MotoGP started. I'm sure you have. Why would you go anywhere? It's the greatest motorsport show on earth. Anaya Bastianini starting from the middle of that second row. Binder and Bastianini, Lewis, in the dry. You really fancy them to be strong, given they've excelled in the Doha from really good qualifying performances. Let's quickly pop down to the grid again. Piero Taramasso and Michelin, they've been thrown in 11th hour curve. Well, haven't they, by these tricky conditions? Simon's with the Michelin Motorsport manager, Piero Taramasso.
Yes, Piero, some new conditions for you to make the weekend even tougher. Can you tell us what tyres the riders will go for?
Yeah, in this condition, the choice is medium front and medium rear. Is the one because the track temperature is still quite high, is around 25, 26 degrees, and also because here the tricky point is the overheating on the right side, and with the soft compound, the problem that you might overheat too much and you lose grip. With the medium will be much more stable, so this is the best choice for this condition.
Thank you, Piero.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to Piero Taramasso. We're just running through this revised grid now, of course, revised sadly because 8 times world champion Marc Marquez has been ruled out of this delayed Indonesian Grand Prix. Here the president, Mr. Joko Widodo, who is finally, after all of his effort and all the effort of the authorities here in Indonesia, it looks like, thankfully, we are going to get MotoGP action here in Indonesia for the first time since 1997.
Well, the Shaman certainly did in the end. We got the race we were hoping for.
Yeah, whatever that lady's name was, get her inducted into MotoGP Hall of Fame very, very quickly because, yes, it does look like the rain banisher, or whatever she was called by the locals. She normally goes to big events like weddings and parties.
She'll be getting a position at the FIM, I think. She'll be taken to every Grand Prix over the course of the year now to try and ward off any potential wet races or cancellations. So we're about to get underway then for this Indonesian Grand Prix, and Anaya Bastianini goes into it as the championship leader. Let's get a word from Grassini with Simon.
Yeah, that was a key word you said there, championship leader. That's what I've come to see. Michele Massini. Michele, he's done so well. And for the first race, all the way through the event, put himself in a good position on the grid, looked in FP4, now completely different conditions. How does he feel about the wet?
Yeah, and now it's difficult to predict how good does it go because still a lot of water on track, big paths in some corner, but for sure this is the same condition for everybody and we don't make any practice on this condition. So we will see. We start from the second row, this is good enough, but we have to learn lap by lap what we can do.
How does Anaya feel about rain condition riding?
Not so bad. Not so bad. We have to improve in this point, but we have a good base on the rain.
Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Simon. Thanks to Michele Massini from the Grassini, the captain team. Can they continue their stellar start to 2022? Alex Rins, not quite sure that it's sunglasses weather right now for the Suzuki man, but I guess just trying to keep himself focused, trying to hide some of the nerves that will inevitably be hitting these riders. This is nerve-wracking stuff. This is tense. This is where these guys are really, their skills are put to the limit, their concentration, their focus, because they're just about to encounter a racetrack in conditions that they've never experienced before. It's a bit of a level playing field, this, isn't it? It's going to be a case of fortune favouring the brave. Jack Miller, normally he revels in these kind of conditions. Even Thriller Miller looks a little pensive as we count down towards race time here in Mandalika.
Just 6 minutes to go then. Speaking, of course, earlier on, we were discussing the potential strategies that might be deployed in a dry weather race, and the big talking point, I suppose, was Fabio Quartararo's determination, I think, to get to the front of the race and get a clear track. Just not in doing so. In many ways, even though it's a wet race, that is still the aim for Fabio Quartararo, more because of the visibility here rather than kind of issues with overheating front tyres. We're still expecting this spray, more than a little bit of spray. There will still be some standing patches of this racetrack. We've already heard from Piero Taramasso that there are still some patches as the virtual wall. Get ready to see this historic Grand Prix in 25 years. If we are going to see some sprinting in the early laps with the field all running together, it's going to be so important for these guys to try and get it clear as soon as possible.
Yeah, Fabio Quartararo would not have known how significant that pole position was yesterday. He knew it was going to be good in mostly in dry conditions. Well, it might be absolutely vital now with, as Lewis said, the potential for spray hitting the riders that are in the chasing pack. An excellent weekend so far then for this young man, Fabio Di Giannantonio. Very, very limited experience of that Ducati rain conditions. This is going to be a tough test of the metal for these MotoGP riders. 5 minutes then to the race start here in Mandalika, and finally we can say there's going to be MotoGP race action in Indonesia. Our first visit to Southeast Asia since 2019.
One rider perhaps to identify that we haven't mentioned yet, who will certainly fancy his chances in these conditions. Starts all the way back in 18th on the grid. The brother of this man, Marc Marquez, if you're just joining us, will not start this Grand Prix due to a concussion sustained in the warm-up earlier on today, as some drizzle starts to fall as Simon Crefar lets us know from Alex Marquez. His brother, of course, took a sensational podium, his first podium in MotoGP in very wet conditions at Le Mans, and very nearly won that Grand Prix as he was chasing down Danilo Petrucci. He'll certainly be a rider who will have a big result on his hands potentially today, certainly a big result he qualified 18th yesterday.
Let's just hope then that that rain that's just starting to fall a little bit heavier again as the team personnel are told to clear the grid, that it doesn't start falling as ferocious as what it did about ago, which caused this lengthy delay here for the MotoGP return to Indonesia for the first time since 1997. Understandably, some really tense, anxious-looking faces down there on the grid. Somebody give Aleix Espargaro a glass of water. He looked like he got a real drop out. So here it is then, finally, we're about to get underway in MotoGP in Indonesia. Two Pramac Ducatis on the front row of the grid. Johan Zarco in third place. Jorge Martin starts from second place, but it's the reigning world champion Fabio Quartararo who starts from pole position in our first Indonesian Grand Prix in 25 long years. Don't go anywhere, folks. 20 laps of pure drama and theatre coming your way in MotoGP. Up next.
Who will be Rainmaster of Mandalika here in MotoGP? Fabio Quartararo, the reigning world champion, starts on pole position ahead of the Pramac Ducatis, Jorge Martin and Johan Zarco. Brad Binder heads the KTM Challenge from the front of the second row ahead of the reigning world championship leader, Enea Bash. Keep an eye for the rookies. They're led by Fabio Di Giannantonio. He starts in the middle of row 4 with Marco Bezzecchi just behind him. Pol Espargaro on the 5th row. He is the sole Repsol Honda challenger in this Grand Prix due to the injury sustained by Marc Marquez earlier this morning. In wet conditions with drizzle starting to fall once again, these are challenging conditions for the best riders in the world. Let's go racing in MotoGP.
So we've been waiting 72 minutes since we thought this Indonesian Grand Prix would be getting underway, and finally, as the rain just starts to fall, the warm-up lap then does.
Saatnya jadi reseller di Evermost. Usaha halal, insya Allah berkah.
Yes, pasti mania tahu kan momen-momen viral di media sosial para rider MotoGP pas waktu ke Mandalika. Sebagai warga negara Indonesia, kita harus berbangga diri pastinya. Karena setelah penantian panjang, akhirnya balap motor taraf internasional akan kembali selenggara di tanah air kita. Nah, sebelum kita menyaksikan race GP Mandalika tanggal 20 Maret nanti, tim Trans 7 punya ulasan spesial nih buat GP Mania. Interview eksklusif Esterlita Koraima bersama para joki kuda besi spesial menyambut Mandalika Grand Prix dalam Their Stories About Mandalika. GP Mania, now I'm here with the one and only Fabio Quartararo. Hi Fabio, how are you? Good, I'm excellent, luar biasa. Oke, Okay, let's start our interview. So, first question. What's your first impression about Mandalika?
Track or
Track or around the Mandalika?
Okay, so I really like the place. I think it's quite nice to have. Also, when you have pictures from when you are on the track, you have to see, you have things everywhere. The track is nice. I think it's a really nice place. First impression about Mandalika, very hot.
Very hot? Okay.
Very warm, but no, apart of that, the circuit is really nice. The place is amazing.
Yeah.
The circuit is not a very difficult layout. I mean, the layout is quite a natural and easy to understand how to be fast. But it's true that it's some interesting corners, and yeah, looking forward for the race weekend. I think the track, what makes special this track, or what will make special this track, is the fans that will come and the circuit.
I think better than, Phillip Island is nice because it's the open, but it's very cold down there in Melbourne. Here is beautiful. It's like, exactly, here is more like where I come from, in the top of Australia, humid, with the sun and everything is beautiful. So, no, it definitely feels like home. I've been really relaxed the last couple of days, just enjoying it, getting out to run and around the track, and it's hot, you sweat out like a hell, like at home. So it feels really excited to first of all ride the bike around here because the track looks amazing. It's massive, a lot of fast corners, so a lot of fun for us riders, I think, to be able to spin the tire and whatnot.
Okay. What do you like the most so far?
What I like the most so far, the sun.
The sun?
The sun, the beach.
Why? Your country has sun.
Well, in my country, I will leave tomorrow to my country and it's snowing.
Whoa.
So,
Okay.
Also the track is so nice, the layout, everything looks perfect.
Wow.
Like the paradise.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. The island's really beautiful,
Yes.
It's incredible scenery and a few relaxing days before we started testing, which was nice. And the circuit also seems really fun, it's a good layout and really enjoying my time here.
Kira-kira kalau menurut para pembalap ini ada nggak ya hal-hal yang perlu diperbaiki dari sirkuit Mandalika?
Well, here in the test there are a lot of people working to make the grandstands, to make everything. So this is something that sure when we will came back here on the for the race, it will be a lot more grandstands because I see that there's a lot of people working.
It's difficult. Maybe the roads is the roads, is a bit amazed because in Europe it's a bit different, everything, and more organized. But I think, you are organized, you can change anything. I enjoy the lifestyle here, like more chill, more relaxed.
Interesting, like a new track. The layout 3-4 years ago, you were saying that was not a Ducati track, but with improvements we are doing, and with the improvements of last year, for me, it could be a good track for us.
I like too much Indonesia, especially Lombok. Was a nice surprise for everybody, I think, especially for me. It was a nice experience to come here. It's not my first time here. I was in Bali also. But anyway, also the track is nice, the people are amazing here, and I like.
Ada tanggapan positif, tapi ada juga beberapa masukan dari para jagoan lintasan nih. Yuk, mari kita dukung seluruh panitia penyelenggara untuk mensukseskan acara di Mandalika. Semangat!
Kami broker berkelas dengan 9 tahun kisah sukses. Ketentuan trading menjadi ketentuan